Friday, July 23, 1813 in Jane Austen's life. To the sound of roosters crowing in the village of Chawton, Jane Austen, aged 37, quietly awoke. At the time, it was considered inappropriate for a lady to appear before breakfast, and this provided Jane with an invaluable opportunity to write. She quickly dressed and sat at the round table next to the small creaky piano in the house. Before the household awoke, she focused on her top priority for the day: a sketch of Mansfield Park. She unfolded the small, ink-stained scroll she had brought from her bedroom and began to write in longhand the chapter on Fanny Price's shy interactions with Edmund Bertram. If her family woke up, they were ready to cover their drafts with a sewing box or a book for safekeeping. It was considered more appropriate for a lady to be sewing or reading than to be a writer. Her sister Cassandra wakes up and they have a simple breakfast together in the house's small parlor. Tea, butter, and some bread. Their conversations often revolve around village gossip, news from London, and of course Cassandra's recently estranged brothers. Jane reflects these conversations with a subtle touch of irony in her characters' dialogue. The routine at Chawton begins with social duties. Jane and Cassandra prepare to visit their brother, Edward Austen Knight, who lives nearby at Chawton House. Jane wears a simply cut dress, in keeping with the fashion of the time. At Edward's house, a brief reunion with the children and daughter-in-law takes place. Jane discusses the household with her aunt, but her mind is constantly on the move as she observes the behavior and mannerisms of the young people in the room. Even while fulfilling a lady's social duties, she never loses a writer's keen observation. They return to Chawton Cottage. The afternoon hours are devoted to letter writing. Jane responds to a letter to her publisher, Thomas Egerton, regarding the sales of the new edition of Pride and Prejudice. In the letter, she expresses a secret satisfaction that her novel has been a remarkably good success, but insists that the author's identity remain anonymous. In a letter to her brother Henry, she humorously addresses a rude comment from one of her neighbors. In the letter, she says, "My dear Henry, after the Sunday morning sermon, I was subjected to the well-meaning but annoying presence of Mrs. M. You know, she's the kind who prefers serious, educational books to worldly things. As usual, she asked what I was reading. I didn't even think of mentioning Mansfield Park, for it's not really a book yet, just a pile of draft papers, so I showed her the first book I could get my hands on, a recent novel by Miss Edgeworth. She rolled her eyes and said, 'Oh, how do you stand this kind of light reading, Jane?' he asked, his voice branding the act almost as if it were a vile sin. 'There's enough stupidity in life already. Shouldn't literature really nourish our souls? I recommend Dr. Johnson's new biography,' he said, then added in a low whisper. 'That famous novel you call Pride and Prejudice is not,' it said, "the kind a lady should adorn her library with. It's too bright.' You see, Henry, even my best work had failed to satisfy her serious mind. I confessed to her frankly, 'True, my novel is a bit light, bright, and luminous, but what can I do? I can't afford to spend my life writing anything too serious. Silliness is my best material, and Mrs. M. herself has proven that it's abundant.' I dismissed her with a polite smile and told her we'd leave the heavy topics of life to others. After all, her deadpan honesty provided me with the perfect prototype for my next comic character. If she knew how much I owe to Miss M. for all the fools in her novels, she'd be horrified. My warmest love to you, Jane." Dinner time. The family eats a modest meal of boiled meat, vegetables, and perhaps a simple pudding. During the meal, literary discussions during a visit from Jane's older brother James, an Anglican priest like their father, lead Jane's mind to the moral dilemmas in her novels. Evening is when the family gathers and reads aloud. That day, they might have read the poems of William Cowper. Jane is usually a reader. These reading sessions play a significant role in developing her dialogue rhythm and narrative flow. But her favorite part is observing. She observes the household's reactions as they listen and the characters' interest in what they read. As bedtime approaches, Jane opens her sewing box and mends a shirt. Her mind is on the scene she left unfinished all day. She begins to imagine dialogues for tomorrow that will further deepen Fanny Price's moral dilemma. Jane retreats to her bed. By candlelight, she briefly reviews what she has written during the day.